Hi guys, this is Pestily and welcome to another Escape from Tarkov video. In this video, I'm going to cover which ammunition to use and why to use it. Now, there's going to be pretty much two major points here. I'm going to talk about why there's different selections in ammunition and what you should watch out for. And then I'm going to pretty much go through all the different calibers and just give you a rundown on what to use and why to use it. Now, this is for patch point 12.2 and it will probably be relevant for up to quite a while from now. But there will be changes. So make sure you keep up to date with this stuff. There'll be links down below to different ammo charts and stuff like that. So be using that information because that's always going to stay up to date. So guys, without further ado, let's crack straight into it. So now, if you look at any single ammo chart in the game or that's been released, there's some points to look at. There's damage, there's pen power, and then there's other stuff like accuracy and ricochet chance, if it's a tracer, and what speed it shoots at. So the things that you really need to focus on, guys, is the damage power, the pen power, the speed that it runs at or it flies at, and also if it's tracer or not. Pretty much every other point is null and void. I will cover ricochet chance later on, but it's really a bit more of an in-depth conversation. And besides that, guys, that is the major points you want to look at on any sort of chart. There's pretty much two methods that you can use ammunition for in Escape from Tarkov. The damage is probably the main one you want to look at, and then also the pen power. So with these two different values, you can determine if you're going to go for a headshot or go for a legs. That's pretty much the only way you want to look at it. If you're going for highest pen, you aim for the head or the chest. And if you're going for highest damage, you're going for the legs. There's no real other way you should be doing it. You can go for arms if you're going for flesh as well for the damage. But if they're wearing, say, a Gen 4 assault that covers the arms, that will really screw you over quite massively. Pretty much the rest of the values you don't really want to pay too much attention to. When it comes to ricochet chance, unless it's got a high enough pen power, it's not going to actually have a chance to ricochet. What a ricochet does, it doubles the damage. But at the moment, it's a really busted value. And so just honestly, don't even pay attention to it. The speed is only really relevant when it comes to the US rounds, which is the subsonic rounds. Now, they've got a lot slower firing rate, and I think the ASVL and VSS also have subsonic rounds. They're the only rounds that you really use. So it's probably something you need to take note of when you're shooting it for the distances. But honestly, guys, for all the rounds out there, just stay away from subsonic unless it's the ASVL or VSS. Tracers. There's different colored tracers. There's green and red. Personally, I don't really care if I use a tracer or not. It's kind of fun when you're using a sniper rifle, but it's just a value you should probably take note of if you're afraid of giving away your position. But it does look cool at night if you want to have a bit of a Star Wars battle. Now, there are multiple cheat sheets for the ammunition charts. There's the Wikipedia page, which I've spoken about a lot. It's No Food After Midnight. I'll put both of them down below, and I'll also put an image that I found recently on Reddit. I'll put a link down below to that one, which is a really basic cheat sheet. I agree with most of it. There's probably one or two things I would change. But I'm going to go through all the different calibers right now so you guys can get a good understanding of why I pick which ones. And hopefully you guys can get a good understanding for it too. So when it comes to 12 gauge shotguns, now I'm starting off with this one, and I'm really, really hoping that nothing changes because sometimes I make videos and then things change. But the 12 gauge round is actually really cheap for what it does. So now there's two types. You've got your multiple pellet rounds, because whenever I say fletchettis or buckshots, people get frustrated. But there's multiple pellet rounds or multiple projectile rounds, which is your buckshots and your fletchettis. I call them fletchettis, don't change it. And then you've got your slugs. Now with the multiple pellet rounds, the projectile rounds, the fletchettis are amazing bang for buck. They're really cheap, sometimes down to around 80 rubles per round, and you only need to take in 30 or 40 rounds. So as a budget gun, and I'm going to make a video on budget guns later on, the fletchetti with an MP153, you don't even need to wear a rig. Chuck that in. You could even just go shotgun and the rounds, and you can drop people that are really geared very, very quickly. It does a lot of damage, very high pen, and it will really shred people. So definitely be using the fletchettis. If you are just going in with a shotgun for whatever reason and you're going to buy any other round, don't waste your time. If you can go on the flea market, buy the fletchettis. And if you can buy them from the traders and put them up on the flea market cheap for other people, do it, because honestly, this is the most underrated loadout in the game, I reckon. Flechettes for close range, and then AP20 for long range. Now, I think it's personally worth spending the extra money to get the AP20 slug rounds because of the high penetration, 32 pen with 164 damage. I've been one tapped in the chest wearing a AVS rig, and that's a class 4 armor with it was fairly high durability. I think it was on like 65 when it happened. So the ability to actually be able to get one taps on people that are really geared, using these two different rounds. So for buckshot slash darts, use the flechettes, and that's for close range. For long range, AP20s. You can't go wrong with these two rounds. Don't waste your money on buying any of the others. They're not even worth it. Go straight to the flea market and buy these awesome rounds, and you will not have any complaints. In my opinion, just the effectiveness of these rounds are amazing, and they should be used more. Now I'm going to go to over to the TOS round, the 20 gauge. Pretty much everything with the TOS is shit. I've done a full video testing all these rounds. If you're going to use anything, maybe go for the pellets, the 7.3 buckshots. But honestly, guys, they're shit. Don't even waste your time with them. If you're going to go memeing, your 7.3 buckshot would probably be the best one for that. And then the slugs, the Poliva 6Us. Honestly, it's a meme gun. Have fun with it. Go with that. Now, for 9x18, there is two choices you have here. Personally, I like using the SP7 round, which is a very high damage round at 77 with very little pen. But the beautiful thing about it is, with a Keta or a Clin, you can drop people's legs super fast. Even like an APS or an APB, which is the automatic pistol. I used to do money runs using that pistol because you just go prone, aim for the legs, and it's amazing how quick you can drop people. So the SP7 for the flesh damage, if you're going to go for the pen, PMM, they have boosted the pen to 25 now, and it can get through some of the lower classes quite quickly, being like your Packers, even the 6B23 armors. But personally, I think it's more of it's a flesh damage round. So SP7 drops people super quick, and that's my choice right there. Now, for the 7.62x25, which is the TT pistol, there probably will be a fully automatic gun later on. I can't remember the name of it top of my head, but when that comes out, I don't know what it'll be, or if there'll be any new additions to the ammunition. But PST GZH, it's got 50 damage, 24 pen, and for this one, it has a good chance of getting through a face shield up into a Kiva and ZSH. Anything after that, you've got no chance, but, you know, we can all dream. Now, 9x19 is pretty straightforward. If you can't afford expensive rounds, go the PST GZH. You can buy these off Mechanic Level 1, and this is pretty much the go-to round that I use on this, on MP5s, MP9s, and, you know, any PP19s. But if you can afford it and you can get access to it, the AP 6.3 has 25 pen, 52 damage. So it's got a fair bit more pen, only 2 less damage than the PST GCH, but it does really shred through people. And face shields for level 3 face shields, gone. They're not even a problem. If you're going to go like a Granch pistol run, get the AP 6.3s, just have one mag, 18 rounds, go for those face taps. If they're wearing a cheaper face shield, you will get through it quite consistently. 1 to 3 rounds I found for a fast MT, ZSH, or a Kiva face shield. So that's pretty solid in my opinion. But as soon as you get to the ultimates and that, you pretty much got to run away. 9x21 rounds, this is your shrimp rounds, SP13. If you're going to spend the money on buying a shrimp, just buy the best rounds, and that's the SP13. When it comes to the 5.7 pistol and the P90, personally, I use the SB193. Now, this is a subsonic round. It's a slightly slower round for velocity. So you just need to take note of that when shooting at long ranges. But personally, this is the round that I would use. Otherwise, your 190 or 191 rounds, the 191s are traces, they're perfectly good. It's only very slightly less pen, but slightly more damage. Really only going to affect you once you get up to the class 4 armors. But overall, 193 is the best you can use. Then 191 and 190. Otherwise, you know, if you can't get access to them, or the prices are a bit ridiculous. But all 3 rounds are pretty much the exact same, and it's going to come down to availability on that one. Now with your 4.6, this is for your MP7. This gun shreds. The problem is the ammunition for the APSX is really hard to get a hold of because you shoot all your rounds super fast. So an MP7 is probably like up there as one of the best close quarter guns, probably with the ASVL and VSS. Problem is the fast firing rate makes you burn through ammunition. APSX is the go-to round. Subsonic is what I would use after that. Then don't even worry about wasting your money on Action or FMJ. Personally, I don't see the value in it. You're already spending money on all the gear and that to use it. I wouldn't run that risk of dying to someone geared because I didn't spend that little bit extra on ammunition, because an MP7 can shred most armors. So even if it can't pen the armor, it will shred the armor fast enough that you will be able to pen it very quickly afterwards. So that's why APSX or subsonic only ones you want to use there. Moving down to the 9x39, this is your ASVL and VSS. Personally, use SP6 unless that's sold out, and then you have to use the SP5. But if you can get your hands on SPP or BP, they're pretty much identical. The BP are better, but it's negligible how much difference it has with the fast firing rate of the ASVL and VSS. So personally, use your SP6 and don't blow your bank buying any better rounds unless you can get them cheap. Get them cheap and you really want to go top tier, use those BP ones. But the SP6 and the SPP, pretty much the exact same rounds. So I would just use the SP6 mostly. Okay, over 2.36. This is your VPO 209 and your 215 sniper rifle. Personally, with this one, you just want to use EKO rounds. You can pen level 3 base shields quite consistently with them. Lower tier helmets, you'll have a pretty good chance of tapping through as well. But this is meme gun overall. So EKO rounds, you actually have a chance to kill stuff with it. Everything else is a waste of time. And that's what I would wholly suggest there. Moving over to 5.45. Now, this is most of your AKs. So there's pretty much a fairly basic rule here. I wouldn't go for legs, but if you are, probably go HP rounds. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not a good choice there. When you want to go for shooting, you pretty much want to go, for heads and chest. BP is actually fairly valid and underrated. A lot of people will just stay away from it, but most people you go up against aren't going to be wearing Gen 4 assaults or anything up from that. So BP will do quite well against it through class 4 armors. Otherwise, try and get to BT ammo. There is a bit of a price jump at the moment because of the changes to the BT having a lot more pen. So BT ammunition is a little bit harder to get because of the price. But you can't go wrong with BP or BT. Now, the best ones you want to use, in my opinion, is the BS or the 7N39. Personally, I would use 7N39 over BS if the round is cheaper. I pretty much just go to the flea market, find out which one's cheaper, and then buy that one. It's interesting because you actually sometimes get a lot of 7N39 because of all the people that are farming Killer at the moment to get the tracksuit. So every time you kill Killer, if he has the AK, he's got 7N39 ammunition. So that ammunition is selling for around 900 rubles a round. And if he's got his big mag plus a couple of other 60 round mags, you can have up to like 100,000, 200,000 rubles worth of ammunition sitting in his rig. So if you can get that in your container, unload those mags and chuck it in there, you're actually quite profitable killing him, even if you do die after it. And this ammunition is really good across the board. 1 tap to the head no matter what, 2 to the chest. So 7N39, then BS. But I would honestly just use whatever's cheaper. Now, when it comes to 5.56 rounds, the meta has gone from the M4s now, and people aren't using them as much because of the expensive rounds that it comes with. Everyone would love to use M995 with it's got like the best pen for the M4, and it does fairly solid damage. The issue is the rounds have been increased drastically, and it's made it really difficult to use a lot of ammunition from it. I previously used to buy like 3,000 rounds at a time. Now you can buy like 150 and you're like broke from it. So 995 would be best case scenario, but really 856A1 is the next one I would choose, and then go to 855A1. Don't use anything else. If you're using an ADAR, just use an 855A1 or an 856A1. Don't use anything else. It's just not worth your time. War Mage ammunition is a very high flesh damage. Personally, I wouldn't waste your time with it. Yeah, if you're going to be using an ADAR, you're going to be firing slow, so leg shooting can be hard, and it's not going to pen anything. So don't waste your time there. 7.62x39. This is pretty straightforward. You start off with Prepper level 1, and you can buy PS ammo. Use that one until you unlock BP ammo, and then just use BP ammo. The problem with the 7.62x39 guns, they have a very slow firing rate, so you want to be able to do the best damage you can quickly. BP is what you want for that. It won't pen like Killer's face shield very good, so you need to make sure you're using BP ammo and not PS, because you'll honestly die to anyone wearing really good gear just for the fact that the ammunition won't pen and the slow firing rate. They'll get 2 rounds off in the time it takes you to shoot 1, and their ammo will usually be better if you're fighting someone geared. So you need to have that good penning ammo straight away. So yeah, PS when you're leveling up. Once you unlock BP, stick with the BP for this one. Now we're up to the big calibers really. So the 7.62x51. Now this is your Vepr Hunters, your Remington M700s, your DVL, your SA58. These rounds devastate. Now personally, I've been sticking with M80 now for a long time. It has 80 flesh damage, and the good thing about this is if you hit someone in the chest that's naked or with like a Packer, 6B23, even a class 4 armor, you have a fairly solid chance of one-tapping them in the chest. And then after that, it will take 2 to 3 rounds to drop someone. If someone's wearing, say, a Gen 4 Assault, it will generally take 2 to 3, if not 3 more than likely, unless you bump it up to an M62 or an M61 round. Now, if you are going in fully geared to kill all the highest geared players in the game, I would use the M61 round, even though I do preach the M80 a lot more. But mostly the reason why I like using the M80 round is usually the biggest threats are those people running around with just a Mosin and nothing else, or a Vepr Hunter and nothing else. I want to drop them really quickly. But if you're using an SA58, you've got the money there. Probably use the M61 rounds. You will drop people faster. Guaranteed headshots will kill. And fairly high chance to 1 to 2 tap most chests, depending on fragmentation chance. We're not going to get into that one. But a fairly solid chance that you're going to drop them very quickly in the chest if you don't get them in the head. So best case scenario, M61. But M80 is a very, very, very viable round. And you can just use that for the entire time, and there wouldn't be a problem with that. Next, we have the 7.62x54R. This one is a very interesting round because straight away from off the bat, you've got Prapper selling you the LPS GZH round, which works for the Mosin. And this will work pretty much the same as the M80 round, probably slightly better. And it will one-tap people in the chest very consistently. And then once you get a little bit higher level and you've got Prapper level 3 unlocked, the 7N1 round will one-tap quite consistently class 4 armors and very close to consistently on class 5, which is your Gen 4s. So if you've got, say, an SVD, which is your best case scenario, 7M1, just shooting those off, you'll absolutely devastate. SNB rounds are very... Personally, I feel like if you're going to use an SNB round, you're probably just better off using a 7M1 round because it's going to take you 2 shots to get through a chest anyway. But it's definitely valid. SNB 7N37, I would only use those rounds in a SVD, and I would use 7N1 and LPS GZH in a Mosin. That's my opinion, and also the SV98. That's my opinion. I think most people agree with that one, mostly because you want to be able to one-tap. And if you are using the SNB and 7N37, you need to be able to fire faster, which is why the SVD would work better. Later on, I think the PKM uses this round, if I'm not mistaken. If the PKM comes into the game, and it's not the other round, this will be very devastating. And yeah, then SNB and 7N37 will be the go-tos there. But personally, for now, 7M1 go-to round for this gun. Now, last but not least, we have the Ash 12 caliber of the 12.7x55. There's only one round you're going to use for this one, which is the PS12B. It's got a fairly high pen. I can't use the Ash 12 at all. I find it really, really hard to use. It personally just drives me bonkers. But it's up to you how you want to use it. It's in my opinion, just got way too much recoil. It's a really cool round, but it just has way too much recoil. PS12B, has 46 pan, 102 damage. One taps everyone in the chest that's got a class 3 or lower. Good chance on a class 4. But yeah, see how you go with that one. Now, with this video, I've had up the top there the different calibers popping up that you guys can see as we go, and the chances of them penetrating. Personally, this is a very personal choice on ammunition, but I find that a lot of people come into this game and they pick the whatever round they got on the ground. This will do. I'll just try this one. Ammunition is more important than the gun. I've spoken about in my 5 tips I wish I knew when I started Tarkov. This is such an important point right here. You need to focus on which ammunition you're using and which gun, because if you go into a raid, you're using a bad ammunition, you'll shoot someone 10 times, you'll blame the game for lag, you'll blame the game for desync, you'll go, I hit him so many times, he didn't die, what is this BS? And it's because you used a shitty round. 99% of the time when I have people say that, I'm like, dude, what rounds were you using? And they'll be like, I don't know, PS. It'll be like the 545 PS, which is a really bad round. So it's one of those things, guys. Hopefully this video, I know it's a bit longer than I really wanted it to be, but I'm trying to give you all that information. If you guys are new to the game, there are plenty of other guides I've put out in my new player playlist, and I'm updating them constantly for you guys. So thanks for watching another video. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me on my live stream or down in the comments below. I do stream on Twitch every day of the week, so go down link below. Give me a follow over there over on Twitch. And lastly, guys, I'll see you next time. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up.